So when doing the valve clearance adjustment, I noticed the issue of the timing mark on the harmonic balancer not matching up with the timing marks on the camshafts. So when the timing mark was at the 0 here, the camshafts, the 2 dots and 1 dot were not lined up. So I'm going through the process of changing out the harmonic balancer. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview what that's going to entail, what I would recommend taking off. I would take off the power steering idler pulley, which is going to be 1, 2, and there's one underneath here, 3 12mm bolts. First off, you'd want to just take I believe that's a 14, either a 14 or 12, and loosen that up, the pulley shaft, and then you can loosen up the belt with this tensioner bolt, 14mm. So loosen that up, get the belt off, take those other 3 bolts off. I went ahead and pulled my oil dipstick out, which is just 1 bolt here, get it out of the way. It kept getting in the way, or keeps getting in the way. Next, I would take off, there's 4 bolts, 12mm on the fan, right down there. Get those off. I would unclip the fan shroud bottom so you have more access from underneath. And then for the AC pulley, we'll get underneath here, take a quick look at it. Let's get from this side here. So you want to loosen up the pulley with the 14mm, or the idler pulley, the AC, and then back this off right here, the 14mm. So then you can take our AC belt off. And then we're to the alternator. Zoom in here. You're going to loosen up this bolt right here. It looks like it's a 12, and then you can untighten the tension, or loosen up the tension with this 12mm bolt on the AC, and then you can pull that belt off. So from there, it starts getting tough. But there's 4 bolts on the inside of this pulley. They're 12mm. But you still want to take those 4, or at least 2 of them off, and then you'll use this tool. And so you'll want to use this tool right here. You can get it on the Amazon for about $25. I'll put a link to that in the description. And then the bolts that came with it, which I don't think I have those anymore, weren't large enough. So you're going to want to get an M65 in length millimeter bolt. And it's going to be the 8mm diameter, and the thread pitch is going to be 1.25. And that'll go in perfectly. Now I will say you may want to get some, if you can get an M70. See how far that shot through. I had a little bit of difficulty getting it to start threading. I had some washers on here to get better bite, and it wasn't quite long enough, I don't feel like. So I took those washers off and got it to thread. But what that's going to do, it's going to be around your crankshaft bolt, and it's going to be attached to the outer pulley. And then you're actually threading into the harmonic balancer, because those 4 bolts go into the harmonic balancer and attach the 2 outer pulleys to it. So once you have that on, you're going to be up here, and what you're going to do is you're going to get with your ratchet with a 19mm and get on your crankshaft while you have a breaker bar inserted into this hole right here. And just what you do is just turn the engine over with the 19mm, and your breaker bar will end up pushing against the frame here. So then the frame's gonna hold your breaker bar. And what you can do is then you can take it off. And then the opposite, whenever you're putting it back on, you can do the same thing, except for it's gonna go the opposite way. So to get it back on, it'll be on the frame on your passenger side instead of your driver's side. So that's the best way I found to take it off and put it on. I've heard some other people say that doesn't work. There is a danger. Those are only, M8 or 8mm diameter bolts. But I definitely get the grade 8 ones. So here's your harmonic balancer, just giving you an idea. This would be the part facing outwards towards you. So these are the 4 bolts holes that you're going to get into. You're only going to get into 2. In fact, let me pull this around here. Here's how the setup is going to look, and it's so much easier with it out of the engine. It's sitting right here. So these are going to thread down into there like that. And then when it's like that, this is going to turn, and this essentially is going to be turning the opposite direction that you're turning your crankshaft bolt. And you'll want to tighten these down all the way, of course. Get them snug. Another thing to note is that crankshaft, it is keyed. And so when you're putting this harmonic balancer back on, you have to work it and wiggle it on, and it'll push all the way up, and you'll know it's in tight. That key will be on there all the way. What I would recommend is, so when you get that, when you're putting this back on, get that all the way keyed up, and then what you want to do is put your pulleys, your other 2 pulleys on front, get them on there first. In fact, what you could try is with it out of the vehicle, you could put 2 pulleys on and put 2 bolts on, opposite of each other. So you can pick these 2 or these 2. Put that on and then slide this on, and then put your crankshaft bolt on, because you're gonna get it snug, where it's turning the engine over. And then with the harmonic balancer and pulleys on, then you're gonna attach this in that order. Would work best because you want to do the least amount you have to with it bolted up to the engine. Now, I did it with it bolted up to the engine. You can surely do it that way. It just occurred to me that it might be easier to put the pulleys on outside when it's sitting like this, and then put the harmonic balancer, and then put this on to be able to tighten your crankshaft bolt. And once you get that crankshaft bolt tightened to 193 foot-pounds, it's pretty easy. From there, you're just gonna go alternator, tightening that back up, and then underneath on the AC pulley, and then getting this guy back on the engine oil dipstick. Hope that helps. I'll shoot a video. It's I already test drove it with the new one on. It runs pretty smooth. I feel like I got a little bit of horsepower back. I have a little less vibration. So yeah. All right, this is really hard to show, but I got a pretty good shot here. Got the belt a little bit wedged out of the way with the big pry bar. Anyway, you can see it's right, that timing mark's right at 0 degrees on the harmonic balancer. I'll pull this out of here. And then I made a mark on the screwdriver so you can see I'm at top dead center here. I watched it, I turned it over 4 to 5 times and made my mark, made sure That was top dead center. I obviously don't have the valve cover off to look at my camshafts to be 100% certain, but I'm feeling pretty good. I've got a mark on the harmonic balancer at 0 degrees, and I've got the number 1 cylinder at top dead center, or the top of its stroke. So there's a good sign. One odd thing to note is this new harmonic balancer, there is a notch that's maybe 60 degrees clockwise of that one, which I'm not sure what that's for. And oddly, to confuse matters worse, it lines up about where the notch is on the old one. So anyway, I feel a lot better now about this being at top dead center. And on these notches, again, it would be the second notch. I guess if you get a new harmonic balancer, that you're lining up at the 0 degrees on the timing cover down there. And then you can use a screwdriver, the number 1 cylinder, to get an idea if you're at the top of your stroke. Reminder, super important thing, it's every 720 degrees, 2 rotations, that the number 1 cylinder is at top dead center. When you turn 360 degrees and you're back on your 0 degrees on the timing valve cover, you're at top dead center on the number 4 cylinder. And those are the 2 locations, as you might recall in my previous video. That's where you set the valve lash at, valve clearance. So anyway, that's how you replace the harmonic balancer, and some of the lessons I learned while doing so.